Hello everyone. It is Wednesday. It's 4:30 p.m. Central Time here in the far Midwest countryside outside of Chicago. It is time for weekly office hours. Shall we, Andrew?
We shall.
All right. All right. Hello, good sir. Good to have you back as usual. How are things?
Good to be here. Well, of course, it's a very busy week as they are as we get towards the end of the year. I was very happy that it warmed up a little bit today. Our snow and ice is starting to melt, which those days are going to become few and far between here soon, I assume.
Yeah, we spent a good 20 minutes this morning digging out our truck from a pile of snow. That was fun.
Yes, I'm sure that it was a blast. Probably the way that you wanted to start your day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My favorite thing. All
Awesome.
right. So, aside from shoveling snow, what's up?
As always, there's always something, right? So I have a few things that I've come across this week. I was able to grab before I hopped on today. If you want to share my screen,
I certainly would. Will.
all right.
Shall. Here we are.
So thank you, sir. First thing I had here was a post on our friend Jurgen's blog, but really, I think the blog post was written by, or at least the script was written by his coworker Sasan. We've had a couple of solutions from Sasan that we've showcased here this year. But it is a PowerShell script for installing the new Teams client. So nice script. This is something that I think we're all going to have to deal with here soon. If we want to control when our users get the new Teams client before Microsoft automatically upgrades everybody, I believe the current date is March of next year. So I thought this would be a great thing to showcase and remind everybody that that day is coming.
Sooner than you think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We blink and it's
Uh,
there. Yeah.
it's not that far away. I came across this tweet that looked very useful to me. So let's see here. It's from Jadong. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Chen, cloud architect here, and his post is on how your login works in modern authentication in the modern authentication world. So a quick blurb about the pre-modern authentication era. Basically, we provide our credentials and an IP address to a server. That's weak these days, considered weak in a lot of cases. Um, but now we have so many things that go into this. We have SAML, we have OAuth, we have identity providers, we have tokens and claims. And if you go down here towards the bottom, there's this diagram here of how many things happen in order for us to authenticate to a web app using Azure AD or Entra. So I don't want to belabor the point on authentication, but this was a very nice breakdown, as well as again some reference documentation here and reference diagram on how this works. So as he says here at the top of his tweet, whether this is something that you work with frequently or you're just kind of curious, because this is something that a lot of us are working with every day now. This is a great starting point from what I know about this part of our little world.
So, shorthand, a must read. All right. Got it. Noted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Friday night, absolutely. If you've got that available.
Yeah. I'll see what I can do. Clear up the schedule.
Our friend Gary Block posted a blog post on a PowerShell script that he wrote for debugging during OSD. I liked the other day, I don't know if you saw, Johan, but Gary tweeted, does anyone want me to still tweet about task sequences, and everyone was like, "Yes, please, please continue." So it looks like he got the memo. Um, so very cool. Here's just a script that he wrote again. I will note his note here. Use this for troubleshooting only. Don't run this on every device because this is going to capture sensitive information about the device or your environment. And if anybody's been paying attention to information security news recently, that's been a big problem. Nevertheless, you can get some very important troubleshooting information with the script. So you can see it will capture registry hives, the Panther folder, some DISM logs, SMSTS logs, things like that. Very useful stuff. I also wanted to make note, I was very happy to see this tweet from Nathan McNulty. When using custom RBAC roles in Entra ID, for the longest time, the only thing we were able to scope were app registrations and enterprise apps. But now, as it turned out later on in this thread, we can now scope devices, users, and groups permissions. So this means that we can now put users and groups into an administrative unit, then grant someone a custom role to do things like manage just the contact info of a certain subset of users. So thank you, Nathan, for pointing that out. There's a fantastic thread about this, ongoing thread within this tweet, so I will post that as well. Really great stuff that I think a lot of people expected to be there a long time ago, but it's there now, and very much looking forward to getting into this. I will have a side note too, because we've had a question about this the last couple of weeks about administrative units. I do not have a full demo or test on the question we received about role-based access and admin units and Intune yet, but I did start working on that this week. So, and last but not least, the technical takeoff that we've talked about a little bit is going on this week. And I know you and I have been very busy, so I don't want to speak for you, but I haven't had the chance to catch up with everything.
Not yet. No, nope.
On the agenda for sure. That might actually be a Friday night activity this week. But I did happen to catch at least chunks of this presentation here, advanced analytics around Intune, and a couple of the things that this was nearly an hour-long session, which was surprising and pleasantly surprising, because last year a lot of them were 15, 20-minute sessions. So an hour-long session on both where reporting is at today, and the few folks from Microsoft that were presenting on this acknowledged that there are some shortcomings in reporting in Intune, which we've talked about as a community for some time now. But they talk about where reporting is at today and why, as well as where it's going. We've seen steady improvements in reporting in Intune over the last year and a half, as they've moved to the second version of reporting in Intune. So there's a great, probably a good 10-15 minute talk on those things, as well as advanced analytics in Intune. And if I can find the specific part of the video here, I know it's in here. Oh, there it is. So this is basically, as I understand it, CM Pivot for Intune. Fantastic. So very excited to see. Oh, there we go. It just went to a higher resolution for me. So we'll be able to do a lot of the same things. Those config manager admins that are joining us today that are used to using CM Pivot against your devices, we'll be able to do this directly in Intune using the Advanced Analytics add-on. So this is really exciting to see. I'm personally excited about it. So I would definitely recommend checking out this session. Hoping to get through, again, some more of these sessions over the weekend so we can talk about them a little bit more next week, at least some of our favorites. But at the moment, this was kind of a standout for me. So I wanted to make sure I shared that today.
Awesome, sir. And I mean, this is obviously free of use for everyone, right?
Yes. Oh, the CM pivot. Sorry, I thought you meant the technical takeoff. Let me clarify my comment. Viewing the technical takeoff session is absolutely free for everybody. However, the advanced analytics add-on is not free, nor is the Intune suite either, which is about what, $10 a month per user at the moment, retail.
Yeah, I forgot the exact price, and there was like that was 8, and then another 4, and then you got it a little bit cheaper if you bought both. But yeah, it is part of the Intune suite.
Yeah,
this one is not available as a standalone add-on, at least not now. I just brought it up here on my screen, so I'll share it in a bit.
So the pricing not so exciting. The technology very exciting though.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Anything else?
That is all I had for today. How about you?
Yeah, I have a few things. Not as many as you, but still a few things, and a few shiny ones at that. But let me go ahead and share this screen first, since I kind of hinted about it. The endpoint analytics that Andrew mentioned here is indeed part of the Intune suite. And I did bring up yes, as you were speaking, the current. No, I do not want to take an online survey. Thank you. Yeah, $10 a month a user for that one. So it does add up a little bit, to say the least. But again, shiny feature, absolutely. But no, what got me very excited this week was the announcement of the ConfigMgr 2311 technical preview. So this one here. And more specifically, the ability to deploy ARM devices using ConfigMgr, adding boot images, creating sequences. Looking forward to play around and test that one. Was a little bit surprised to see this one here. I would have expected that it would be the WDS-less one that would provide the support. I don't know if that's still the case, because that's usually the shinier one of the 2 pixel responders. So I'm looking forward to play around with this weekend. I did not have a chance to get this one installed just yet, but anyway, after this announcement, and I did announce this already this summer that they were going to do this next year in the real product or the current branch release, Twitter started to come up with question, okay, great, I can try this. Where on earth do I get the media? And that's a little bit tricky to find the ARM installation media. But there is always this one idiot. Before there were any support for deploying ARM devices, you can still go old school and do it Jurassic style, basically a long PowerShell script and be done with it. That works. But you still need the media. And it turned out, and I got some help from one of our friends here in Chicago, Mr. Frank Lesniak, where to get the media. Now, if you have a shiny license with Microsoft, like one of those fancy enterprise agreements, you will find an ISO that is named Windows 11 Enterprise for ARM on the volume license site. Problem solved. But what if you do not have a fancy license? What if you have, say, a normal VLSI volume license subscription or even a Visual Studio subscription? Well, you don't find it. But inside of the Windows 11 IoT Enterprise ISO, there is indeed a Windows 11 Enterprise for ARM index.
Haha.
So that was the one I was using because I did not have the shiny one. Luckily, one of our customers had, so you can see there was a little bit of difference. But
there you go.
Anyhow, you can still deploy it.
With this announcement, it looks like you have some deployment research to do.
Yeah, I do.
I'm here all week, folks, for my comedy.
Yeah. Yes.
Probably shouldn't expect the checks to roll in anytime soon.
Give it another week. They'll come. So I'm very excited about that, playing around with the ARM thing and get the media and try it out. So that'll be cool. And then an interesting thing, I was doing imaging of really, really large packages or images, primarily for testing. We have a few customers that are using images that are 200 gigs in size. That's a fairly large image. And what I learned the hard way was that the ConfigMgr client, the cache size is actually cannot be over 97.6 gig, because I can set it just fine to 99,999 megabyte. But the moment I add one more megabyte in and try to do the same thing, boom, value does not fall within the expected range. Error message I get. And even if you go into client settings of ConfigMgr, so here I have some client settings I've been using for, large pre-caching machines, clever name as any. I can go into client settings. I can happily type in the value here and click OK, and it's not going to complain. It just won't work. It will not set that value in the client. It will use whatever the client had before. So that was an interesting. So I decided to go on the safe side. So I did 96,000. But yeah, anyhow, that was an interesting find.
Yeah.
And obviously, the first thing that happened when I tweeted about this yesterday was someone commented and say, well, how are you going to deploy Call of Duty then? Because it's obviously bigger than that. Apparently it is. I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing games can be pretty big these days. The cool thing about ConfigMgr is you don't have to use the client cache to get stuff down. The most common way is to just create the sequence, which I did yesterday with a clever name, download large package. So this sequence here has a single download package content action. This was one of my tinier packages, so there was only 30 gigs. I have some images here that are slightly larger. But long story short, I have a content that is 30 gigs, but I'm not downloading it in the ConfigMgr client cache. I'm downloading it to a custom path on the drive. So what I did was I went to a device, this device here, and I set the device size to 10 gig. So if I ask this device about the current cache size, it was indeed 10 gigs, but I can still execute the download large package sequence, and it's going to go ahead and download that very large package into that folder without even touching the ConfigMgr client cache. And that means you can still inject it into branch cache if you have a proper script to do that. But yeah, that was my evening. I stayed up way too much testing this.
Well, that's the fun of this.
Isn't it? Yes.
That's awesome. Good find.
Thank you, sir. All right. What questions do we have?
All right. So Shri is asking over here on LinkedIn, any easy way to copy a SQL database to an Azure storage blob? I have not done that.
Well, it's just a file. The 8c copy.exe command line is pretty dang good to copying files up to Azure. Supports multiple threads and whatnot. It's really effective. That was something that I remember Jose and Nikolai worked on last summer when I was having troubles uploading really large applications to Intune. I was trying to upload the Adobe Suite, which was like 25 gigs in size. I was able to trim it down to 20, but still I was having problem uploading because the Intune upload would just time out all the time, no matter where I uploaded from or how good of an internet connection I had. So they reworked Nikolai's PowerShell module to use easycopy.exe in the background, and that took care of that problem. So that's a cool thing. I haven't used it in quite many years, but it used to be an Azure Explorer. Maybe that one is still around as well. Where is it, David O'Brien, when you need one? Let's search for it. What can possibly go wrong?
That's right.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's still around. Yeah. That's Explorer window copy files. So one of the two. Command
Looks
line,
pretty familiar.
go old school, or Explorer, tiny bit more modern.
Awesome. All right. So Tommy is talking about an issue that they're having over here on YouTube. Having an issue with client push installations over the VPN. Looks like the site server is not responding to the DCOM request from the client. Communication on the ephemeral port, we can see the TCP handshake getting completed successfully. We have an active case with Microsoft already, but wondered if you have any thoughts.
No, I cannot say I have. Do you have anything you've seen, Andrew?
No, I mean, we try to typically avoid client push for these. Yeah, when we have to. I mean, I don't want to, I don't, if that's the way your organization is using it, I don't want to stray you away from it. But for these types of reasons, there's so many things that can go not right in that process. We talk often about all of the networking issues you can encounter, Active Directory issues, DNS issues. There's a lot that can happen with client push.
You need to have an account that is an admin on the device, and yeah,
absolutely. So no, nothing that I've run into. I also don't think that I've ever tried it over VPN. I've done it during imaging over the CMG, for example, and that works well. Or installed it through Intune using a Win32 app, or during autopilot. But no, unfortunately, not in this case.
yeah. All right. I mean, if things that comes to mind is, everything from traditional startup script to just create a scheduled task on the client that installs the agent. You can have a lot of triggers for those these days. You can run it as system or whatever you need to run it as. But the difference there is it's a client that initiates the installation, not the server or the site server or the management point, I guess. But yeah. All right. Any other questions? We have a good half hour available. Did we mention last week the stewardship that Patch My PC did for PS80T?
I don't know that we mentioned that last week, and they had an event today, didn't they?
Yesterday, right? Or was it today?
I think it was this morning.
Might make sense. Long story short, this amazing toolkit.
Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, that probably would do it.
There we go.
Yeah, but they recently announced that PaxMyC is partnering up or offering a stewardship for the PS App Deploy Kit. So I'm very excited to see what that leads into. A challenge with a lot of community solution is to get, well, time to deal with it and basically having the power that the larger software company have in terms of resources and all of that stuff. So looking very promising, or looking forward to see what they come up with. And they did indeed do that webinar that you mentioned. Did you happen to have a link to it? I think you can still sign up for it.
I don't. Does that join now at the top actually work, or there's a little blue banner?
No. That takes me to the Teams. I don't have any Teams running on this one.
Oh, okay. It actually takes you to join.
Yeah, but I did find this one here, where you can sign up for the webinar. So I'm assuming what they usually do of all these webinars is they publish them after a few days or a week or so on their YouTube channel. So I'm hoping this one will show up there, even though I really don't know. But other than that, PaxMyPC, of course, if you haven't watched their YouTube channels in general, this one here, and check all the videos, fantastic stuff in there. It's been doing this for years. See some familiar faces there also.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, interesting to see if that recording becomes available.
Yeah, I'll be keeping my eye out for that.
I'm actually going to copy that link over to a computer where I do have Teams and see what happens. Can't possibly go wrong. Nothing happened. Okay. When the meeting starts, we will let you know, people, you're waiting. So no link to any recording or anything. So, all right. So, any other questions coming in?
Tommy just had a follow-up that they do have GPO as well for installing that client, but it's not working in those either. So just a follow-up.
Yeah, startup group policies, that they can be tricky if you are only on a VPN client. I would say that a scheduled task is a better option because they will fire either way. Whatever, you can even have it targeted app on login, so you wait like 5 minutes to do something. Having that as a trigger. So maybe that.
Yep.
All right. Got a hi from Matt. Hi, Matt. Good to see you. Any other questions? Are you dressed up for today? My trustworthy Microsoft Mechanic t-shirt.
Very nice.
Indeed.
Matt's asking if we saw the technical takeoff and what are the best sessions. So we're still getting through them a little bit. I did talk, Matt, a little bit at the beginning about there's an advanced analytics session that was what I've seen of it so far was very cool. It's been my favorite so far.
All right, there was a question from Jesse on YouTube. What role in SCM? I don't quite get that question. But I'm also very old, so.
You're not that old.
How does the saying go? That's no age for an old horse. No, that's not how it goes. Yeah, anyhow. Look like an 18-year-old tomato. It's like, okay, thank you.
Oh, jeez. All
Ah,
right. Oh, okay.
better, yeah.
Yeah, so what role in SCCM would allow a help desk person to have access to view collections, run scripts, and use CM Pivot in Intune?
I mean, the view collections around script is a ready-made permission already. And Intune is honoring your permissions in ConfigMgr if that checkbox is selected to honor RBAC. But one specifically for CM Pivot, I haven't seen one, but CM Pivot behind the scenes is indeed using the run script feature.
Mhm.
So maybe that. Nothing that comes to mind straight off the bat.
So there is a CM Pivot administrator security role that
That's a
happens to have.
starting point.
Yeah, if you want to, I have it up. If you want to share my screen real quick.
I do.
So this is a built-in role, and it looks like there is a run CM Pivot against collections, at least. But there are several other permissions in here. I just, I guess I can't say which one specifically would allow CM Pivot as a whole.
Yeah, but I mean that would be a good starting point. Make a copy of this one and start to lock down and see what stops working. So that would work.
Yep. All right. Matt is asking, have you used the application group, and if yes, do you recommend it?
I'm assuming that question is for config manager. No, I have not.
All right. And Matt's also asking, how do you use a CCM to update Office 365? Automatic deployment rule, if you do need to use Config Manager to do it.
Yeah, I mean there are other options available also, but yeah.
That's the way I've done it with Config Manager specifically.
Approve the product and have an ADR for it. Yeah.
Yep. And I think there's actually a built-in template for Office 365 client updates. So that could be a good starting point too if you want to build an ADR.
All right. Excellent. I love that I still call that template Office 365.
Yeah, totally. I mean that name change now to M365 apps, Microsoft 365 apps it's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, this is just like all of the they've even changed with the name change from Azure AD to Entra. They have even changed in the documentation for Azure AD Connect. They've changed all the documentation to call it Entra Connect. But I went and upgraded it last night on a on one of my lab servers, and the install and everything itself is still Azure AD Connect.
Yeah. I just tried out that template, by the way, in the lab while you were talking. It did not pre-select any products. You still have to go in and select products.
Oh, okay.
But A for having a template. All right. Any other questions?
All right. Matt's got a question here. So for next session or next Wednesday, I have a question regarding how to block a user from getting into Office 365 while working from home using Intune and Entra. Yeah, so you could probably do that with a conditional access policy and trusted locations that are pointing to your trusted enterprise networks. That's what comes to mind right off the top of my head. And so with that conditional access policy, you just block access to the applications outside of those trusted networks.
Yeah. Indeed. Any other questions there? Good comment there about Config Manager. Absolutely. The comment is, I love Config Manager. Couldn't agree more. Still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not see any more questions coming in. Nope. All right, then. We got off easy today.
Yeah, I guess so.
To watch technical takeoff videos. Perfect.
That's the plan.
That is the plan. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for the questions and comments and for joining us here on a Wednesday afternoon. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Bye for now.
Thanks. Have a great one, everybody.